Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our morning news show with David and Fabian. And ahead of today's interview with Elon Musk and Trump, we got a little bit of interesting news. The European Union Commission actually sent a letter to Elon Musk threatening him, saying that, we have certain acts, we have certain things in place that may prevent this interview from coming out. So you have the official letter.
It sounds like they are trying to scare Elon Musk into potentially not exactly, hosting it or doing something for it, but this is from EU commissioner member. And it sounds like he's trying to blackmail Elon Musk by saying, hey, listen, we have all this DSA, European compliance stuff to try to scare Elon Musk, but we know it's not going to work. The UK is saying we're going to extradite Elon Musk. And even then, he's laughing in their face.
It's the Digital Service Act, essentially, which is an Orwellian policy across Europe that says, hey, if we determine certain speech, online speech specifically, to be hate speech, racist speech, something like that, then they can go after the publishers. And Twitter, being a social media company, 230A only protects it within the United States. Europe has different laws when it comes down to speech, even Germany. So certain speech that they deem to be racist or hateful or incitement of terrorism, which is what they're trying to illustrate to us in terms of what's happening in the UK right now. People are inciting this violence against certain groups or whatever. They believe that the interview that's going to happen tonight is either going to incite violence by addressing migrant issues, or that they'll say that this is hateful or racist speech, which is going to go against their DSA Act. And that's how they'll be able to remove or regulate tonight's interview with Trump and Musk.
Well, what's interesting is that as soon as they start talking about the riots in England, Europe's not going to like that. Mm-hmm. So I think this has to do something with that. Maybe try to compel him to censor that portion of it or else, right? Like talk about this in a way that we don't like or else. Like I said, they've already threatened to extradite him. Here's a part of this letter that goes to what you were saying. It says, this notably means ensuring, on one hand, that freedom of expression and of information, including media freedom and pluralism, are effectively protected, and, on the other hand, that all proportionate and effective mitigation measures are put into place regarding the amplification of harmful content in connection with relevant events, including live streaming, which, if unaddressed, might increase the risk profile of acts and generate detrimental effects, civil discourse, and public security.
See, the issue I have with this is that it's very Orwellian, very much so what we have in 1984, the book. Essentially, you have institutions that are able to censor speech that perhaps goes against the narrative that they're trying to drive to society or the public. So, for example, if they want to create a certain narrative where these migrants, they're being targeted, harassed by speech, well, they can tie anything to that. And that's the scary thing when countries start to implement hate speech laws, because an interview between Elon Musk and the leading candidate for the presidency can be censored depending on what these bureaucrats that are unelected believe, determine what to be hate speech. And that's exactly what was happening in 1984. And it's scary how much these institutions have been hijacked by these crazy activists that don't believe in any sort of freedom of speech or even a counter narrative at the end of the day. That's what they're really scared of, Fabian, I think, is the counter narrative that we produce when we allow alternative news networks to host such conversations.
This is what happens when you allow a centralization of power in any one area of the world. The EU now responsible for freedom of speech basically across the entire European Union. I don't remember any state giving up sovereignty to the European Union when it comes to freedom of speech. Now, they don't have a freedom of speech, but their own version of freedom of speech, and they're trying to compel Elon Musk. Ever since he bought Twitter, they've been changing, right? First, they're like welcoming Tesla into their countries. Germany built a gigafactory now. Everyone loved Elon Musk, and then he bought Twitter. And you see how the media has changed to try to roast him and violate him and to say his stocks are going to go down. Nothing that hasn't been done across an entire career as a businessman, but just now we have government involved actively, not behind the scenes, trying to shut him down, try to subvert Twitter, try to make himself censor himself, even to the point of saying we're going to extradite you and charge you in the UK. Like, that is insane.
And they've normalized this, right? Because nobody's too appalled by this, right? Obviously, us conservatives, like, what's going on? You're infringing on freedom of speech. But these bureaucrats don't believe in that whatsoever. I think the scariest thing and the most important question we have to ask ourselves is why? Why are they wanting to censor the speech? What are they afraid of? And at the end of the day, if it's just, because we're exposing their agenda, perhaps they're trying to implement a more globalist idea, a one world government, because they understand that they can control everything much better like this, then that is scary. But we need to expose that. And if they try to censor us being able to expose that, then I understand why they're doing it. But then again, why are these low-level bureaucrats doing this? Why so many activists promote this hateful speech, or sorry, not hateful speech, but to censor what they believe to be hateful speech? Again, if speech was actually hateful or inciting some sort of violence, obviously that needs to be prosecuted. But the issue with that, and it's a very slippery slope, is that if you allow these bureaucrats to determine what is hate speech, what is incitement to violence, then you'll have things like what's happening in the UK, because people are posting on social media their grievances, and based on their grievances, the police is coming to them and saying, hey, you're going to jail because you can't talk about migrants like that. Why can't I talk about migrants like that? They're breaking the law, and that's all I'm talking about. Well, because we determined that is to be incitement to violence. And that is the true tragedy.
So it's going to be interesting seeing this happen, seeing Elon Musk and Donald Trump going at it on Twitter, and then see what the fallout is from the European Commission, from individual countries, from even places like Australia, which had a spat with Elon Musk. And now you have Venezuela and all these dictators that are just, everyone's trying to attack Elon Musk. You know, guys who's trying to take us to Mars and build good cars and give us freedom of speech. Imagine that. Imagine that one of the most ingenuous people in our generation is being attacked for creating new industries, taking us where we've never been before, and allowing us to do what the Constitution already allows us to do.
Yeah. Hey, to bring us back to where we started here, tonight is the 9th. Trump, first of all, is back on Twitter already. He posted on Twitter for the very first time. So ladies and gentlemen, we all invite you guys to extend an invitation, even to you crazy leftists, to join us tonight at 8 p.m. to watch the interview with us with some good side commentary. We'll have some special guests as well. And who knows, we'll be watching what Europe is doing live. Perhaps they'll pull the plug on Twitter as the interview is going on. And if they do, I'd be damned.
It's going to be an interesting night, to say the least.
I
See what happens.
agree.